Hi, it's Ian Recorder of Hawkwood, or Suzanne Caligide, again with Recorder 101, Lesson 2. So, as we did, I'm bristling with recorders today. So as always, some stretches to begin. Just sort of want to loosen up. I'm doing this sitting down, pretty straight. My feet are flat on the floor. Your best breath control will be sitting as straight as you can or standing as straight as you can. Obviously, some people have limitations. That's okay. You go with your best possibility. Breathing again from as low as you can go and out. And we're trying to get our breath and our tongue to coordinate. So we have bad breath just up here. Fill the lungs. D, 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 D. That's 8. Exhale all the way. We're going to try and go for 12. Do, 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 dee, 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 do, 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 do. Exhale. Doing the D's and the do's because we sometimes want to change the way we sound on the recorder. I'm hard of hearing and I can not distinguish the difference. But people with really good hearing can distinguish the difference, and it will provide a slightly different sound on the recorder, or a different sound. I am being assured that by the professionals that yes, the sound is there. We all deal with our limitations. Mine is partly my hearing, partly my vision, and that's not just corrective lenses, but that's another issue. So let's try going up to 16. Keep working until you can do that. Take your time. Develop your breath control. You can get a metronome on your phone, or you can get an actual physical metronome. The difference in your blowing speed, the metronome I have, the slowest it goes is 40. I don't even want to think about how many breaths I can take, or how frequently I'll need to blow or inhale again to be able to get the metronome, or to be able to keep breathing, because at that speed I'm going to be out of air pretty quickly. Okay? Next thing that we should always do is do the same sort of exercise with our recorder. Here's my German soprano. It's going to show up fairly well against this shirt. How much can you do? How far can you go? And of course we've got the same exercise that we had last week. It's not about speed. Putting this to the metronome, let's see, I'm probably at about 50. doing your exercise that way and getting your breath under control. How are you breathing? Looking at yourself, the hands relaxed. How are you breathing? Are you breathing deep? Are you breathing from your chest? Where are you taking your breaths? Are you going, this hurts the ears? Today we're going to introduce two new notes. Both are F. One is the F, and one is the F sharp. And here on my German recorder, we've got F. Close this finger. So we're adding that. But I also mentioned the F sharp. And here I'm going to bring up our fingering chart, which is all curled up because it's been in the case. And the F sharp for the German is here. So this finger, your right index finger, is off the hole. It would normally just hover gently over the hole, maybe half an inch up. So that's the note we're going to need next week when we begin a piece. But there's the regular F. So again, you're going to want to practice that. And you'll also want to practice. And you'll want to practice. It will give you a few headaches. So that's your F on the German recorder. Take your recorder and see if it sounds the same. If you do those fingerings, if they don't sound the same, you have a Baroque or English recorder. So I'll put that back down in there. Take out my Baroque recorder. The fingering chart tells me that my F on the Baroque recorder will look like this. And you can hear that that's not the same as the other F. So I was playing around, and sometimes you need to do this. Where is the F? It's here. On this recorder, it's here. So take your recorder. Is that going to give you the F? Is it going to do it with the little finger down? And what's the F sharp? It's this. All three fingers of the left hand and these two fingers of the right hand. And these index and pinky sort of hover over the holes. So if the Baroque recorder is yours, then you have and you've got and to practice. Whatever fingering that we've started doing and learning, whichever one, when you're using your metronome, causes you the most difficulty, that's the speed you set your metronome at. No faster. And over the week, you try to increase that speed by 1 notch every day. You can't play faster if you cannot keep your whole consistency up. Okay, so that's why that is there. Now, why am I putting my recorders down here? Because very often the sound that we get with our recorders is greatly improved by them being warm, especially this part where we blow. So the condensation is less apt to build up there. Back to our little fingering chart. You undoubtedly, if you've looked at your fingering chart, know that our soprano recorder begins with middle C. Actually, it doesn't. It's a full octave higher. And they have written it this way because it's much easier than trying to teach you half of this staff and the next staff up, or starting in the here and going on up with just lines to go by. So what I want to point out, and one of the reasons I'm bristling with recorders today, and actually you only see my 2 sopranos and my alto here, but this pocket on my left has my tenor, and the pocket on my right has my bass, or bassette. And I'm terrible at this. This down is middle C, and our tenor recorder actually begins there. And our soprano recorder actually begins on this C, up. The recorders, these particular recorders, have 2 octaves. So if we've got, trying to get this back into view here, this is middle C, and that's the tenor. The tenor also does, not that way, Suzanne, that way. That's C, and back into the frame, everything is backwards. The tenor goes all the way up to the C up here. There's a line here in the middle that's the A, the high A. And we've been playing on the soprano recorder that A. It's right here. That's the A we've been playing. It's still an A. It hasn't changed a bit. We've been playing that high C way up there. It's this one. It's the same. Some of the reasons that we have, or may have had, a reaction to the soprano recorders is because they have such a high voice. So if you're thinking in terms of, this sound bothers me, it's understandable. It may not be your voice. I'm also going to mention now the F. That's the F that the alto begins on. And that, this way, is the C that the tenor begins on, and the F that the bass set recorder begins on is here, down in the bass clef. Although the bass set recorder, we actually use the whole bass clef, and we begin with this one, this F, even though it's not that actual low F, it's this one. And it goes up 2 full octaves. So it goes from that F up through this F up to the top line on here. So this treble clef is from middle C, and this treble clef is not. It begins on C. So it's a full octave up. Just want you to know that. I'm not going to be bringing this up again because it really doesn't matter, because we don't write the music that way. The music that we're going to be playing is predominantly in this clef right here. If you have a bass recorder, you might want this one. What's the difference? More people have soprano recorders than altos. More people have altos than tenors. More people have tenors than bass. Which do you want to be playing? What's the sound difference? Well, I have said that these things go up 2 full octaves, and I have not tried to get the highest C. Let's see. Okay, 1 up, 2 down, and a half hold. Don't know if I can do this. That should be the highest C. That sounds pretty good. How are you breathing? That's another question, and an important one. For your sopranos and your altos, you're cooling your coffee. For your tenors and your basses, you're warming your hands. So there's a difference. So that's the high C. Let's consider our alto. It still goes up more notes. I haven't gone up higher. But you can hear that it's reaching into the range that your soprano has. Pleasant sound. You have 2 options with your goals. Okay? Are you planning on being a solo performer? Or are you planning on playing in a group? If you would like to play in a group, then by all means, if you have an alto, learn to play it according to the fingering chart. If you're going to play solo and you've got an alto, no problem. Do as you please. 2 choices. Now, this is my tenor. Can't do anything. I said I had the beak warming in my pocket, and it has been. And the tenor is handy because you play it just exactly like a soprano. So let's see, what was that note? It was something like this. There. I'm going to have to work on... Now, well, I'm getting a strange sound in there, and it's probably, I can't really show you, the way I'm closing my fingernail back here. And it says half hole. They sort of lie. It's like you will adjust it until you get it right. But here you've got the middle C, the true middle C. Why didn't I get it right away? Two things. I've been playing the soprano and the alto a little bit, and my fingers, and actually playing with them a whole lot more these past week. So I'm getting rusty on my tenor. And the other thing is air leaks. When your fingers aren't closing properly on the holes, air leaks. You're getting up and up and up, and I still haven't reached the C that the soprano does. And that's just the C that's here. Which C? That one. So if you're finding you're having an allergic reaction to the sound of your instrument, you may want to consider other things. Now, my bass recorder has been sitting around unused for almost 2 weeks. I'll put the beak in my pocket, and yeah, I'm wearing a pocket. My bass has a strap. The bass is heavy. I'm struggling with the weight. I would like to get a better strap that goes over the shoulders and supports it better. This bass has keys, and you've got to figure out where your fingers are going to go, and you will like the sound of the keys closing, and how to make it close quietly. So this is the C, middle C, right here. What am I doing? Hands off, hands on. Basically, your bass recorder is going to be, if you're buying plastic, your most expensive, your heaviest. You'll play it just like you play the alto, pretty much. I'm trying to get an alto in with German fingering, and hopefully I will succeed. Have not had luck so far, so that we can have 2 tracks here, one for the alto and one for the soprano and tenor. So these are things to think about as you're planning your goals. Okay, most people have sopranos. Do I really like the sound? I've already got it, so I don't have to buy it. How much do these things cost? Well, I've been looking recently at a British shop, early music shop, and they've had altos for under 50. They've got tenors for just over 50 and just over right now. So I think it's, I'm talking plastic. I'm not talking the expensive wooden ones. If you're a professional and you're going into really keeping your quality up, you'll be spending more for your recorders. But if you are just in the SCA and you're going to big events and you don't want to spend a fortune on your instruments because, well, they could walk away, get lost, your less expensive models are easier to replace. Hopefully you don't lose them. Of course, the easiest ones to take around are perhaps the sopranos, but Anyway, that's what I've got to say for today, and keep practicing. Add the F and the F sharp. Next week we'll be adding a couple more notes, and then we'll be beginning a tune. Okay? Have a great week. Bye.